We stopped at a dump station on the way out of town, then continued down the WOW highway heading west.
As you can probably see, the mountains are appearing much more massive and all-encompassing the further west we travel.
Indeed, they are so amazing and beautiful.
We stopped at a fruit and vegetable stand just off the main highway and then decided to veer off to have a look at what looked like a small community or town across the way.
Turns out it was a little place called...
Ladies and gentlemen, the Traveling Wildberries.
Coston, BC. After driving for what seemed like a couple of hours or more, we decided to start looking for a place to stop for lunch. It was around this point we started getting distant glimpses of some of the smoke from the various fires that we kept hearing about on the radio.
It wasn't too long after that when we came across a spot called Bromley Rock Provincial Park.
We parked the RV, went for a brief walk around to check the place out, and then went back to the RV to make lunch. After lunch, we watched the kids do some jumping from the rock face as we chatted with this couple about their little Shiba Inu puppy.
Little puppy's name is?
This is Bartleby.
After a short lunch break, we were back on the road.
After driving for another 45 minutes or so, we passed what looked like a rest stop on the right side of the road, and then another opening on the left side. The opening on the right seemed to have a section that extended beyond the part closest to the highway, and the opening on the left was interesting as well. I decided to turn around and have a look at these two places. Glad I did.
It turns out the stop on the right-hand side did indeed have some kind of section behind it, which was once accessible but has now been blocked off. We left the RV parked there and went to explore the opening on the left side.
That turned out to be an amazing find. We walked up the road, then crossed to the other side, where we followed a stone path down the slope to where it led to. Turns out the stone path wound its way down to an opening right next to the Similacamine River. The Similacamine River. That's it. Similacamine River. Where we found, get this, a picnic table, which was apparently constructed by the Hansons family, a fire pit already made and stocked with wood, an amazing great spot right next to the fire pit and the water where we could park the RV.
Wow, it was a perfect find. As we were doing a walk around, Ken discovered the picnic table and I discovered this. It would appear that it may have rolled down the banks off the main highway some time ago, and rather than trying to salvage it, they simply left it. Probably because it wasn't salvageable. Of course, we didn't know all this at the time, and so I was a bit leery as I approached it to see if there was anything inside.
Yeah, that made for a bit of a laugh after the fact. After our walk around, we leveled off the RV and set up the barbecue table. I then decided I was going to fly the drone. Shortly after I got airborne with the drone, we saw these two bikes coming down the dirt road.
We were a little apprehensive at first, but it turns out they were two young buddies who were pedaling across Canada on their bicycles.
Felix.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Remember those 1,000-foot mountain passes we mentioned previous? Well, these guys were negotiating those mountain passes using nothing more than pedal power. Holy Hannah.
Holy Hannah. They told us the story of how one of them saw a wire dangling from the pouch on the front of his bike, and when he reached down to move it, he somehow ended up with his hand in the spokes of the bicycle. Suffice to say, his hand was a bit messed up, and some repairs were needed.
We came to find out that they had begun their journey in Montreal and were headed to Vancouver, where one of them was going to continue on and the other was going to fly back to Montreal from there.
We cross Canada on bike, and we from Montreal. We started the project at May 13, and the plan is going to Vancouver.
That's where we're going too.
Yeah, it's
Right
not
on.
too far, and Felix will take a airplane at Vancouver, and I will continue alone to Portland, Oregon.
After sharing a few stories and getting a good laugh about some of the various mishaps that shaped the journey for all of us, they decided they were going to make camp in the area near the picnic table, which was just up and around the bend from where we had parked the RV. They had told us they were mostly eating dry foods and ready-made meals, so Kat and I decided to invite them to have a hot barbecue meal with us. We figured that it might be a nice change for them since they had not had a hot meal in quite a while.
After supper, they went back to their camp area to clean up. Shortly after that, they came back with a ukulele, a harmonica, and a bottle of really good maple-flavored whiskey.
Yeah, it was good. That was fun. I got out my guitar, and we had a great evening sitting around the fire, drinking and singing.
La profondeur des malheureux. Oh, demain, dimanche, un autre jour, je m'en fous. J'irai dans la ruelle.
In the morning, we had a late breakfast with them. Then they packed up and headed on down the highway.
We left shortly afterwards and ended up honking and waving as we passed them on the highway a few miles down. That was it for this leg of the journey.
Be sure to come back for the next video as we lose the use of both our cell phones at practically the exact same time, just as we were pulling into.
Ciao for now.